I want to emphasize this is a very tactical strangle or choke. It requires a good setup, and it works with this setup. So it's a very tactical move, as most strangles are, chokes are. But like you said, it doesn't have to be fast. It can be done with rather slow, actually. And just like a spider said to the fly, welcome to my world here.
It's especially good for people that just want to sit back and be super defensive. They sit back like here and they keep their elbows in and they're protecting the chokes and they're not wanting to move. Maybe your sweeps haven't worked very well. So you just break him down enough to get your hand set. He starts posturing back up and being super defensive again and not trying to do anything. And then you give him the exit.
Can you guys show that? Because Mike kind of elaborated on that a bit.
Okay, so Mike's being pretty good. He's keeping his hands back. Okay, no exposed elbows. He's not letting me move into triangles or arm locks or anything like that. I might have tried to get some sweeps going, but he stays with a nice solid low base. But he's not trying to do anything in return. So he's not giving me any openings. So that's when close the guard up, pull his head down, knowing he's gonna move back up. But it gave me enough time to get my hands set. We rock right back, give him some place to go. Okay?
Let's take a look at trap choke. It goes by different names in Japanese. One I've heard mostly is hineri, jume. Hineri means to twist or spin under, it's twisting choke. But it's also a variation of palm up, palm down is kata ju-jitsu, half choke, cross choke, cross strangle. So, but I always call it a trap choke because it's a real trap. And really, really a very effective choke. It's a nasty choke. So let's take a look at it. Actually, you're both choking and strangling because you're working against his carotids and his Adam's apple. So there's his trachea here. So you'll see what we mean in a minute. So basically, one way of doing it, and a very good way of doing it. Which way are you going to go? You're going to have him pass that way?
He's going to pass this way with the choke.
Okay. So what we're doing, Derek's fighting off his buttocks in Newaza, guard type situation. But now he's letting Mike, before you guys get see, you can come around and see here. He's going to sucker Mike into going over this leg. Okay, but before he does that, go ahead and tie him up. I like to start with this. I like to start in a what's called closed guard. And so Mike is thinking, oh, he's got me around this in this closed guard situation here. All right. And while he's thinking that, Derek's going to slip in, sneak in, palm down with the left hand, palm up with the right. And if he can't actually touch his hands together like this, he's going to have him where he's trying to pull that jacket very straight. It's like a noose, basically, okay? So that's what he's doing. So palm up, and in this case, the palm up hand will be the choking hand, the attacking hand on this one, okay? So what he's going to do now, though, he's there, he might even start to pull his head in. You might be doing this and then slip into that, and Mike says, oh, I don't want to have a can opener or something on me. I come up. Now watch, do it again. Now watch. I'm getting a little slow here for these guys. They're faster than me. But what he's going to do is drop his leg. So Mike says, aha, I'm going to pass his guard. Well, as he does this, watch, I'll get out of the way. Watch what happens. Derek just swings under, and he gets the good old choke in. All right. So basically, when he does this, think about this. Your right hand's choking, right? Your right hand's palm up. It's going to swing under, and it's kind of like connected to his movement of his hip. So watch how he swings under and throws the hip under. Okay, all right. Might just pass over just with that one so they can see it better. So if he passes over just with a near knee, okay, that makes it even better because you're really sick it in tighter. It's a nasty choke. It's a very sneaky choke. Now let's take a look at that. You okay? All right? Okay. When you're doing this, when you got it here, when he does this, he swings under almost like he's throwing it, but he doesn't want to roll him over. He doesn't want to finish it. He wants to swing under. Now watch how he throws his hip up. And see this action here. Close the elbows in. And it's like you're in a nutcracker type thing. It's very much like a scissors action. Okay? All right.
And you lead with your elbow. Your hands are connected right there. They're the pivot point. You're going to drive your elbow through and bring that hip as you do it, so that you're actually like dragging him across. You're leading with that elbow to get the nutcracker. Or
Now, as you lead with that elbow, you're trapping him with the other elbow. You're really just squeezing him in the middle, right here, in a very, very tight hold.
And the more he gets around and past my guard, the nastier it becomes when I set it.
Hop around quite a bit, Mike, so he has a lot of movement like that.
So you can see how it looks like I'm screwed, but that's actually good because that gives me all of this hip space to roll right into it. So from here, you can see how I've got a nice easy path to get my elbows together, and then you just keep turning.
Did you see how, look how this one, the forearm is right across here, the trachea, and the other one is trapping in, but you see, he's working the carotids here, he's working carotids here, he's working the trachea here. It's actually a 3-point choke. It's a choke and strangle together, because you're cutting off the carotids and also the airway. So it's a nasty one.
The more you turn your hip over, you can see my elbows popping up, and that's what's really gonna catch his trachea as you roll through. Your elbow drives all the way through, and this upward motion is gonna catch that trachea and really put it on him.
But we want to caution you, don't roll him over because you're letting him off the hook.
Yeah.
If you roll him over, he's out of trouble.
He's out of trouble.
He's out of trouble. This is just one way of doing it, but it's a good way to lure him into trouble. And it's a very sneaky way of doing it.
It works.
It works.
Cover some finer points. Number one, this is definitely a closed guard sort of situation. You want to give yourself time to sit your hands up correctly because you need good hand position. I'm not really going to be able to do well if my hand is like way down here, okay? So keep your guard closed until you can get his head down and slide your hands in. He's going to think that you're just trying to hold him and make some space, okay? Drop the hip all the way down so that you can position that elbow underneath. Okay, the more space you have between your elbow and your knee, the better that's going to get. And also notice that my arm is straight up and down my forearm. Okay, my wrist isn't bent either way. Okay, it's straight up and down, and I'm keeping a hold of this. So even if I have to bend it to get a hold of it, you close it in and make sure that your wrist is straight. That gives you a good choking surface. Okay, this one's the same thing, but it's really important on this side. Okay. So as he comes through, we drop that elbow straight underneath and then roll onto the side, okay? So as you got this here, you pull him down and set your hands. You can have a little bit of space in between there, not a lot. You don't really want to be able to see your hands when you set them, okay? If I see my hand in here, that means I'm not in a good position. If you can put them together, like a baseball bat, that's great. If you can't, a little bit of space is okay as long as you don't see your hands. This wrist is straight, drive through, then pull this one down, okay? This elbow is gonna be the thing that goes across his chin more often than not, so you wanna make sure you lead with that and drive it through first and then close the loop. If you can drive it into the other one, great, okay? If you're having issues with it, continue the turn and squeeze them both together, okay? So as I have a hold of this, see how I can't really see my hand behind his head? I can see a little bit of him, but I don't want him down here, okay? I can see both of them. Right through there, wrist is straight. I give him some space to move through. That elbow's across. Keep everything nice and straight through. If I try and clap them together, I know I'm gonna get a good choke out of there. Good?
Could you show Derek also how to drive that elbow across the trachea so you really you trap them there so deep?
Okay, so I'm thinking about driving them together, but because of the way that my hands are positioned and coming up, this elbow, if I keep turning, is going to come up like this. And that's what really drives across the trachea. I'm not going to get it to do that without turning my hip. If I try and do this myself, see how twisted up I get? That's where the hip turn comes. Okay? So as I get a hold of this and he starts moving sideways, okay, from here, I'm going to drive that across and see how you can see the elbow peeking up top? That's what's going into his carotid. I'm going to loosen up a little bit here so I can follow all the way through, and you can really see that there. This is completely exaggerated, but even so, you can see he's ready to tap.
And look at, if you guys, can you lift up just so you can see his forearm across the throat there? Can you see that, guys? That's really strong there, okay? And then
Now, in a normal situation, we're right here, and as I drive that across, you can see how that's just compressing everything into this little teeny tiny hole, okay? Which is why you want your hands here. Just like I always tell you guys, if something's not working, look at your choking surface. So if my choking surface is right here, there's a big old hole in there, right? Through there like that, there's no hole. That means it's a really good choking surface, okay? So as I come through on Mike here, if I'm way down here and I drive that across, I'm like, why isn't this working? I look at where my hands are, I'm like, that's a really big hole. It doesn't matter how far I turn over here, I'm not gonna be able to finish that. Way up there, okay? And I start driving it across, there's no daylight in between there, and I haven't even turned over yet. Okay, so you can see why you want your hands to be really close together if you can get it. And then that elbow drives across and keeps going as you turn, and that's where the pull down comes in. Pulls his head down as your elbow drives up into the trachea. So now you've completed that circle. This lapel and this hand have closed off the carotids, and now your forearm is driving up into his trachea while you pull the back of the gi down. So everything is now compressed, okay? Super, super nasty.
And Derek's really good at controlling my posture with closed guard whenever he's setting us up to where he doesn't go for it until he's really got his hands where he wants them. And he let me think I can do something because I'm able to posture on his chest and his hips.
But you can see I've got that tight behind his head now. He can't really go anywhere without that, unless I open my guard up, and then he can slink out. And that's what makes it so nasty, is that you've closed him up and you kind of corralled him into that point where you pull his head down with the gi, you close your guard up, he feels like he's stuck down there, maybe you're going for a triangle or something, and as soon as you give him an out, he's like a cow when they open up the gate and they let him run through. They're like, oh, I'm free, and they go out the hole, but then, you know.
Can you do one more kind of semi-fast, not real fast, but semi? Okay.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be super fast. You'll get used to the steps through it. Close guard, pull head down, set hands, open guard up and give him some place to run. Haul ass to the other side, drive that elbow.
Guys, we want to emphasize, this is a very tactical strangler choke. It requires a good setup, and it works with this setup, so it's a very tactical move, as most strangles are, chokes are, but like you said, it doesn't have to be fast. It can be done with rather slow, actually, and just you know, like a spider said to the fly, you know, welcome to my world here, you know.
It's especially good for people that just want to sit back and be super defensive. They sit back like here and they keep their elbows in and they're protecting the chokes and they're not wanting to move. Maybe your sweeps haven't worked very well. So you just break them down enough to get your hand set. He starts posturing back up and being super defensive again and not trying to do anything. And then you give him the exit.
Can you guys show that? Because Mike kind of elaborated on that a bit.
Okay, so Mike's being pretty good. He's keeping his hands back. Okay, no exposed elbows. You know, he's not letting me move into triangles or arm locks or anything like that. And I tried to get some sweeps going, but he stays with a nice solid low base. But he's not trying to do anything in return. So he's not giving me any openings. So that's when close the guard up, pull his head down, knowing he's gonna move back up. But it gave me enough time to get my hands set. We rock right back, give him some place to go. Okay? Make sense? Yeah. All right, let's give it a shot.